How to Spark Success show. I'm your host, Liz Hamlet, and I'm a success coach and business mentor. And I'm also founder of Spark Succeed. So I've got a real delight of a guest for you today. Joining me all the way from Sydney my guest is the MD of Hunter Scribe. So he is helping businesses to make sales with content marketing. He's also a video presenter of some fantastic tips for small businesses. Daily video tips and also 3-minute marketing tips weekly. He's author of 2 books, one of which is Crush Them With Content, all around content marketing and making the most of your wording and everything. He's a former journalist, so I'm going to be careful with my questioning today, or perhaps get my own back for everyone that's been interviewed by him. And also, something I've been really interested in is the hashtag 500 lunches that he's been doing, which is lunches with 500 strangers. So I'd love to welcome today Nick Bendel. How are you, Nick?
I'm very well, Liz. Thank you so much for having me.
Brilliant. We were just talking about your lunches. So I'm assuming, are these every day? How are you doing these?
Well, I'm having lunch with 500 strangers in 5 years, Liz, and I started almost a year ago. So I'm doing 100 a year or 2 a week. I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. So in just over 11 months, I've had 114 lunches.
Wow. And doing that how have you managed that in lockdown? That's a feat.
That's a good question, Liz. My first 66 lunches were face-to-face, and then the next 30 were by video. But since then, so the last 15 or 20, I've been able to go and do face-to-face lunches again, because in Sydney, where I'm from, we've emerged from lockdown and you can have lunch with people again.
That must have felt like a real treat. I know I've been hearing from people that have just in the UK this week started going back to offices and actually having lunches with colleagues, and how nice that is to actually sit and someone outside your household to sit and have lunch with.
Oh, it is really nice, Liz. So video lunches are good. I really enjoyed the 30 or so video lunches I did, but nothing beats a face-to-face lunch, because I find you just have deeper conversations and they really help you build a better relationship.
And how are you sort of getting in touch with all these people? Are they people that are approaching you, or people that you're inviting out? How does it work?
Some of the people approach me, and so maybe 5% of my lunch companions have approached me, and maybe another 5% they've been referred to me, but the other 90% are people who I've contacted. Most of the people I contact, Liz, they reject me. Generally, they don't reply. Occasionally, they reply to say no. So to get these 114 lunches, I've had to send out more than 1,000 invitations.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I just thought people would be really keen to go out and have a nice lunch and, meet someone new, because they're all total strangers, aren't they? They're people that you've never had contact with.
They're all complete strangers. Now, some of them, there is some level of familiarity in that I may have interacted with them over LinkedIn, for example. So we've seen each other, but generally they're complete strangers. And I can understand why people might reject the invitation. They might think I'm trying to sell them something, or trying to convert them to my religion, or trying to marry them, or trying to scam them. They might be really busy. They only need one reason to say no, and then they say no.
Oh, fantastic. Well, one of the reasons I was keen to get you on, because I've seen, a number of your daily marketing tips, which are great, and, following your advice, really concise and precise messaging. So I'm proving that I have been watching. And, part of this podcast is that I have conversations with smart and savvy business owners and people doing really cool stuff. So, the 500 lunches definitely I was interested in. But also, you've built up a really good following on LinkedIn. People are obviously in need of and sort of benefiting from your advice. So do you want to tell us a bit about how you came to where you are today, and, what you're doing, who you're working with?
Yeah, sure, Liz. I've got a background as a journalist. Don't hold that against me. And one of the things I learned during my years as a journalist, Liz, was something you actually touched on a moment ago, which is you need to be precise and concise when you're communicating. My years as a journalist taught me so much about writing and communications. And 2 years ago, I started a content marketing agency or a copywriting agency. So now my company sells writing to other companies. And you mentioned the videos, Liz. So I've been doing these daily videos for almost a year now. And the idea of these daily videos is to keep getting in front of potential clients, because if you want to build trust and credibility and brand recognition with potential clients, you just need to keep getting in front of them every day. And I find that the best way to build that trust and credibility and brand recognition is to offer them value and offer them something that's easy to consume. So every day I put out a 60-second video that has some sort of marketing tip they can use to improve their business. These tips, because they're 60 seconds, they are precise and concise, and they're aimed at small business owners, and people are taking these tips and they're using those tips to make sales and improve their businesses. And as a result, I've been slowly, gradually building a reputation and slowly, gradually enticing customers to my business.
And how has that fared over lockdown? Because obviously it's been, more important than ever for businesses to have really good content marketing online, because they were less able to sort of get out and meet potential clients. So how have you found things during lockdown?
Liz, you make such a great point. During lockdown, it's never been more important to have great content and great marketing. And what's great about marketing is when people hear you should do marketing, people often hear you should spend money, but marketing doesn't have to cost you a cent. So the videos I do every day, these are free. And businesses, they can put out content marketing every day without paying anyone a cent. Since lockdown, I think companies have been more open to doing this sort of marketing and to look for new ways of doing things. I will share maybe a slightly sad story with you, Liz. I've got a friend who lives in London, and she's a personal trainer. And when lockdown started in London, she was laid off from her gym. And she said that she wanted to start attracting clients online. And she said, Nick, how can I do it? How can I start putting out marketing right now and get clients right now? And I had to break some bad news to her, which is marketing never works in the short term. It works in the long term, because marketing is all about building trust and credibility and brand recognition. And those things take time to build, kind of like filling a bathtub one drop at a time. So I did have to tell my friend, I'm sorry, you can't do marketing on a Monday and get clients on a Tuesday. But if you start now and if you do it every day, maybe in 3 months' time or 6 months' time or 12 months' time, maybe then you will start generating some steady leads.
Yeah, and I think, those videos, I've done quite a lot of the sort of, 3 tips for X, I've done 3 tips for overcoming procrastination, which people are finding a lot in lockdown, and actually, the good thing about sort of content marketing and, whether that's video, whether that's a blog or, an article, whatever you're doing, is, it's evergreen. You can refer people back to that. I'm often working with clients and this comes up and I'll say, well, I've got a great short video, 2-minute video for you. Here's the link, and you can use that again. So it's not just for that, one purpose. It can sort of be repurposed in a number of ways. And something that I heard on one of your videos, which really struck me, is it's a lot harder to write something that's very concise and precise than something that's very wordy and verbose and waffly. In your marketing, people often think that they've got to really over describe. And being much more concise with a really clear call to action of what you want people to do is a lot more effective. I mean, are you finding that you're sort of fighting against really wordy marketing messages in the work that you're doing?
Absolutely, Liz. And I used to be one of those people who was vague and verbose. These days, I'm precise and concise. One of my favorite quotes is from a 17th century French mathematician called Blaise Pascal. He wrote a letter to his friend and he said, sorry for writing such a long letter. I didn't have time to write a shorter one. And I love that quote because it is easier to be vague and verbose than it is to be precise and concise. And that's why when people do writing or communications or marketing, they tend to choose the easier option of being vague and verbose. It's worth the effort though to be precise and concise, because the shorter a message is, the more persuasive it is. The longer a message is, the less persuasive it is. So always implore people, try to make your messages as short as possible. That's one reason, Liz, why I do 60-second videos, not 10-minute videos or 10-hour videos. The shorter you can make your message, the more effective it is.
You know, and that's what I'm sure you learned as a journalist, but, you know, in some of the work I used to do, it was about sort of interviewing people and, you know, actually the power of saying nothing, you know, asking something and then just pausing is so much more powerful than just sort of over explaining and, you know, being really wordy. And that's, you know, it's the same concept of actually, you know, a really clear message that maybe it's got one or, you know, one key point and just a small bit of explanation, rather than, you know, extremely wordy. It can be very confusing for people, you know, they just don't know where to go with that.
The more words you say, Liz, the more chance that the other person will be confused. So just try to say what you want to say in as few words as possible, and your communications is going to be more effective.
Oh, I love that. That's perfect. And sort of be precise and concise. If that's what people take away today and for their marketing messages, that would be something really powerful for them. So what do you think has been the biggest factor for you in your success?
Oh, that's an interesting question, Liz. I hesitate to say I am successful because it feels like I've less than 1% of what I want to do with my business. I don't want to call myself a success, but for any measure of success I've had so far, I would say there've been a few things. First, the fact that I do daily marketing and my business does daily marketing. So we're getting in front of people every single day, and consistency is credibility. If you just keep getting in front of people day after day and they keep hearing the same message, people attach credibility to that and they trust you, and they also feel like they have a relationship with you. So that's been one thing. Another thing has been really hard work. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And then I think another thing is I'm just so obsessed about making customers happy. And part of it is, I guess, for ethical reasons. If someone gives me money, I want to justify that. But part of it is also for cynical commercial reasons, Liz, because if I make these people happy, they're going to keep spending money with me. So I know that even putting ethical reasons aside, I have an absolute commercial interest in keeping these people happy. And I'm absolutely obsessed with that. And so that has helped me grow the business.
Amazing. And, you know, you mentioned something which I'm sort of quite interested to hear more of, because obviously you're Hunter and Scribe, you know, you can do writing and different things, but you've talked about the video marketing. I'm a big advocate of using video in your content marketing. I've put together a free video resource of helping people overcome like fears, you know, the absolute fear of getting in front of the camera. And I teamed up with a videographer to sort of do the techie tips as well as the confidence tips. But how much, you know, are you finding that a lot of businesses aren't actually making the best use of video?
Oh God, yes. They're not, Liz, they're not. And my clients are small business owners, and when they come to me and they say, Nick, what can we do to improve our marketing? I often give them the advice to do video marketing, and I tell them, because my company does not sell video marketing. So by giving them this advice, I'm actually telling them not to spend money with me. But the reason I give them this advice is, as much as I love written content, which is what we sell, I think video content is more powerful, because when you can look at someone the way we're looking at each other now, Liz, it feels like you're in the room with that person. And when you feel like you're with someone in the room and talking directly to them, it allows you to build trust and credibility faster than if you read their words on paper. So that's why when clients come to me, I tell them, don't give me money. It would be much better for you to do videos instead. But people are scared of doing videos, and so they do them, and I think that's such a missed opportunity.
Because you were obviously, you're a speaker as well, aren't you? So how was it sort of first getting in front of the camera for you? Had you done anything before? You know, you've started this year of daily videos.
I used to be terrified of public speaking, Liz, and about 4 years ago, I joined an organisation called Toastmasters, which is in 150 countries, quite a few people watching. or listening to this right now will know Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a not-for-profit group where people who want to learn speaking, they support each other, and you learn how to speak, and it's a really safe, supportive environment. And from going to Toastmasters, I went from being a terrible, incredibly nervous speaker to being a good and confident speaker. Had I not done that, I wouldn't have had the confidence to do these daily videos that I've been doing for about a year. And as I said, these videos have just done tremendous things for my business. So I totally get why people would be too nervous to get in front of the camera. And what I advise people to do, Liz, I give them what I call my 30-day video challenge. So I say to these people, I want you to record 30 videos in 30 days, but do not show any of these videos to anyone. These videos are for your eyes only. And the first few videos, you are going to feel so nervous and so self-conscious and so useless. But by the 30th video, you're going to feel much more comfortable, much more at ease, much less self-conscious. And at that point, you start recording and publishing videos for real.
It's quite interesting, I've had the same conversations with business owners, often, extremely confident people that would stand up in front of a room of people, be absolutely fine. And when you mention video, they just have like rabbits in the headlight. And then they start to reflect back, and it's not anything to do with their knowledge or, what they're doing with the business. Like, will they think I'm too old? What will they not like what I look like? What happens if they don't like what I have to say? And all these sort of what if fears come out. So I think, definitely, I advocate starting to video yourself, because the first ones you do, as I'm sure you'll have noticed, the first ones you do are extremely like wooden. And you can end up sort of over scripting yourself, and towards when you get more comfortable, you're happy with sort of just maybe having a couple of bullet points to sort of pin your discussion to. So do you set a timer? How do you do your 60 second videos?
Well, when I'm looking in the camera, I'm maybe a foot away from the camera, and there's a timer in the camera, so I can see how the time is. But I've also now got a feel for it, even if I couldn't see the timer. Now that I've recorded actually exactly 500 videos, wow. And once I've recorded 500 60-second videos, you do get a feel for how long 60 seconds is.
Oh, I love that. So aside from your daily video that you're doing, what else do you do? What are your success habits?
There are a few things, Liz. For the past 4 years, I've been waking up at 5 a.m. every day. That's 7 days a week. And I thought this was going to be really, really hard. It took me a couple of years to psych myself up for this, but I've discovered it's much easier than what I was previously doing, which was getting up at different times every day. When you wake up at the same time every day, it forces you to go to bed at the same time every night, which then means you have a sleep cycle and you have longer and deeper sleep. And it's actually much easier to get up in the morning. By waking up at 5, I then exercise for about 45 minutes. I listen to podcasts, so I'm exercising my body and my mind. And then I start work at 6 a.m. and I'm always very alert and fresh at that time. And it means I'm able to get some really good work done before people start emailing me and calling me. So I think getting up at 5 a.m. and exercising is a really good success habit.
And do you find like, for example, with your videos, do you tend to have a habit of doing them at the same time in a day, or do you mix it up a bit?
Yes. Now, here's an insight into my psychology, Liz. I publish 7 videos a week because I'm doing a daily video, but every Saturday I record 10 videos. And so that means my stockpile keeps growing, and it also means that after I die, I'll be able to keep publishing videos, which I guess will be good. And so I do have a regular process. I'm one of these people who thinks that routine and structure sets you free.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you come, because obviously 500 videos on marketing tips, obviously there's a lot to learn about marketing. How are you coming up with the ideas? Is it something that's maybe come up in the week, or a question that you've been asked?
Yeah, those are definitely areas where I get my content. So questions that I get asked, it might be that I'm reading someone else's blogs or watching someone else's video, and that sparks an idea. It might be conversation with the customer. Also, here's a tip, Liz, that I learned when I was a journalist. So when I was a journo, I covered different industries and I had different beats. And I learned no matter what field you're in, there are only ever 10 stories. And so, for example, if you watch the 6 o'clock news every night, it's the same stories every night. The government announces a policy, the opposition is angry about something, the president does something, there's a murder somewhere, there's a serious disaster, something bad happens overseas, a celebrity does something. It's just the same 10 stories every time. So if you were to watch my 500 videos, one after the other, you would not think to yourself, oh my God, I can't believe this bloke has thought of so many ideas. You would think to yourself, I can't believe how few ideas this bloke has come. There are really only 10 ideas in those 500 videos, but I just come up with fresh angles on the old topics.
And I think, you know, what you'd said in, I think it was a 3-minute marketing video, you know, talking about actually a lot of people in their marketing are just solely talking about their product, their service. They're not addressing the pain point or the questions that come up, you know, that potential clients are asking all the time, you know, that they're really like, almost like that's just a side issue to their product. But, you know, actually by thinking it the other way around, and actually your whole marketing strategy addressing that pain point, talking to the client, potential client, about understanding that and exactly what you can do to help sort of alleviate that is key. And I think a lot of people, you know, I see a lot about people just saying, I've got this package, this is what it does. It doesn't really talk to people as much as, I know what you're feeling, I've been there too, or I've dealt with hundreds of clients in the same situation. So, you know, do you see a lot of that in marketing messages that you're reading on LinkedIn or different things where people are just solely talking about the product?
95% of marketing, Liz, makes the mistake of the business talking about itself and talking about its products. The reason that is a mistake is because customers do not care about the business. They don't care that it's been around for 28 years and that the owner likes to ride horses on the weekend. They do not care about any of that. All they care about is themselves, as they should. And they care about their problems. And that is all they care about. Businesses make the mistake of focusing on themselves. And it's such an easy mistake to make because us humans, we are so self-obsessed. But what you need to do, and only 5% of businesses do this, when you do marketing, you don't focus on yourself. You don't talk about your business and your products. What you need to do is you need to talk about your customers. You need to talk about their problems and their fears and their hopes and their values. All your marketing needs to talk about them. And the more you talk about them, the more they're going to feel like you understand them and you care about them and you can solve their problems.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, if you're saying only 5%, I didn't realize it was so low, but, you know, only 5% of marketing messages are actually doing that. There's a huge potential to, you know, increase your income and increase your, you know, client base by just slightly switching around your messaging. So if you could sort of go back and start it all over again, what would you do differently?
Here's one thing I would do differently. Again, I think this is a nice free way for businesses to win customers. Make cold calls. And I've had some success with this. I'm not particularly good on the phone, but the number one thing with making a cold call is just picking up the phone. That's 98% of the battle. And it's free and you can have some good conversations and build some good relationships. I was scared for a long time of picking up the phone. And I thought, oh, people are going to find me annoying. I don't know what I'm going to say. It's all a bit scary. And it took me a long time to psych myself up to do it. I wish I'd started that earlier because then I would have had more success earlier on.
And how are you how have been the reaction when you first started doing that? And, you know, it's quite scary to get on the phone with someone you've never spoken to before, and perhaps you've only got a bit of information about the business, or you've had a look on their LinkedIn profile. You know, what are you finding the reaction to that?
This is what has surprised me, Liz. Almost everyone is either neutral or positive about the call. And then if I get some sort of positive reaction from the person and they ask me to send some information and then I'm following up. Sometimes I might have to follow up 5 or 6 times because they ignore my calls, they don't get back to me. But I've noticed that people are also neutral or positive about the follow-up. My hang-up before was, okay, I called Liz once, she didn't answer, she mustn't be interested. I better not call her again because I'll just be annoying her. But I've discovered that if I just keep calling you every week or so, not in an aggressive way, you actually really respect that. And I've discovered that my fears were wrong. People respect you for making the cold call because they know it's hard. And then they respect you for making the follow-up calls because they understand that shows professionalism on your part.
Amazing. And so if people want to find out more, where's the best place for them to come to?
One way would be to connect with me on LinkedIn, look up Nick Bendel on LinkedIn, or you can have a look at my 500 Lunches website, which is 500lunches.net.
Oh, amazing. I'm going to have a read of that because I've been following some of them on LinkedIn and sort of really interested. Some guy that got stuck on a mountain or something, was it?
Yes. Now, he's a bloke. He lives in Sydney now, but he grew up in South Africa. And he was in South Africa at the time and he had a paragliding accident and then he just slammed into a mountain. And at that moment he was on his own. It took a few hours for help to reach him. He thought he might die, looked like he might become a quadriplegic, but he ended up surviving and recovering and even better, having lunch with me.
Exactly, and that's the whole point of getting off the mountain, is to come and have lunch with you and be on the website. So that's amazing.
That's what allowed him to pull through.
I'll make sure I include your LinkedIn link, and also we can include the Hunter and Scribe website as well, as the 500lunches.net. So thank you so much, Nick. It's been really interesting to get a view into your marketing mind and journo mind. I'm going to be watching your videos with a different set of eyes now. I know that you're doing like another 10 on a Saturday.
If any of my 60-second videos go for longer than a minute, send me an angry email, Liz.
I will. I'm going to time them exactly. Yeah, 661. No, I'm not having it. Oh, well, thank you so much, Nick, and have a great evening in Sydney tonight.
Thank you very much, Liz. I've really enjoyed the chat.
And thank you so much. And for my listeners here today, join me for the next episode where I'll be joined by Tiffany Hardy. She is director of Vitzel Media. She's a former TV presenter, producer. She's also an MC and event host and voiceover artist. And I've worked with her. She's been an on-screen coach, giving all those tips about voice exercises and, you know, relaxing up your jaw and everything to get in front of the camera. So she is the person that broke the news to New Zealand about Michael Jackson's death. And she has also interviewed iconic Kiwis such as Sir Edmund Hillary, who was the first man to climb Mount Everest. So another mountain reference here. So she'll be really interesting. She's full of energy. So I'm looking forward to speaking to her at the next episode. And if you've been inspired by hearing Nick's story or any of my other guests and you'd like to spark your own success, you can book in a call with me at sparksucceed.co.uk, and that's for success coaching and business mentoring. So thanks once again, Nick. It's been fantastic to have you, and I'll be watching and timing your videos from now on.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Take care then. Bye.
Bye.